morning, everybody. Welcome back to Devils United. We're back with the weekly transfer show, so we got plenty to discuss about. As I always say, is if I was to talk about every single transfer link with Man United, this stream will be an ongoing stream, probably a 24-hour one. So I've picked the most likely ones, what is going to be happening, so we could discuss about them. If you do have any questions regarding other transfers that I'm not going to be mentioning, just put your link, just put your name, the question in. I'm happy to answer it. So the ones we will be discussing about is Onana to Man United, Amrabat to Man United, Suske to Man United, Fred to leave Man United, Henderson to leave Man United, and Emma Watson to join Manchester United. So plenty to discuss. And we'll go through the chat first of all. Good evening, Luca. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to sneeze then. Good evening, Niall. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Sorry, thank you very much. Looking forward to it as well. Good evening, Ravi. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. And Nyla said, announce Onana and Højlund, but then we will be cooking. And Nyla said, is Emma Watson the Rangers player? Yes, she is the Rangers player. 17-year-old Rangers player, currently left on a free. Onana is a quality signing from Ravi. So, talking about Onana, just because I think that everyone is the most excited about this one here in the chat. So, let's discuss Onana first of all. So, we was aware last night that Onana's second bid was rejected. The second bid was worth of 45 million euros plus a 5 million euros add-on, which got rejected by Man United because Inter wants a minimum of 55 million euros. I know over the years we've been one of them kind of teams that have overpaid on players. So I can understand Man United's been a lot more wary this season as the manager, because it is going to be very hard that we are to not overpay on players this year, because we've done it for basically 10 years now under Ed Woodward. So we'll get the first information regarding Onana, just because two have been announced today by the Fabrizio Romano. So let's get tweet number 1 up. There you go. So tweet number 1. Manchester United are now really close to signing Andre Onana. Positive round of talks. Final bid to arrive soon, then done deal. Told deal will be sealed by the end of the week. Personal terms agreed. Man United want Onana to travel for USA pre-season tour. So looking at that, I do think that it is positive signs. As much as we should have ideally had that deal done by now, I think it's going to be done by pre-season starts, I believe, on Wednesday. So if you're looking at pre-season, because the first game who we've got is Leeds at Oslo. So I think we're gonna leave them without Oslo. Most likely we're gonna probably have Tom Heaton or Dean Henderson for that. For the Oslo tour, which that's not really, I'm not too fussed about Oslo with Leeds United. So that's something I'm not going to be overly bothered about. And then if you're going to look at the next game for Man United's pre-season tour, we've got Lyon then the following Wednesday in the USA. And that's where we're going to need to start having a quality goalkeeper so we can get into the squad and get used to the squad. Because we've got Lyon, Arsenal, Wrexham, Real Madrid, Dortmund, and Lens at Old Trafford. And we also have Athletic Club the day after at Dublin. So we do have 8 pre-season games. So we are going to need that fresh goalkeeper there in support. We need the goalkeeper to come in So he is prepped to be the number one. So he knows what it's like to play as the number one for Manchester United. Because even though Inter it is a great club, it's a big club. Coming to Manchester United, it is a difficult test. It's a difficult task to come to Manchester United, to be that number one, especially when you've seen over the years of fantastic goalkeepers that Manchester United have had of Peter Schmeichel, Edwin van der Sar, who sadly is in hospital. Who I am sending all my wishes to Van der Sar and his family in this sad time. And I do think that De Gea, even though De Gea did decline, he did have some fantastic years at Manchester United, and having a goalkeeper there for 10 years is still, again, a tough one to go to. So I think Onana probably will be up for the task. He wants to come, and I think that really says it all. A more tweet off Fabrizio Romano, more on Andre Onana. Agreement with personal terms with Man United is for a 5-year deal, likely to be a 4-year contract with an option to extend a third season. The player has already accepted Man United days ago, and he is waiting for the next steps, waiting on the club. So, again, that just really shows that it is getting closer to Manchester United, and it's just about that big coming in ahead. So let's have a see on how that really goes. So let's go into the chat. Onana is a quality signing from Rava. Maisy is gonna sing the catchy Onana song. Apparently, Southampton being greedy, they want 50 million for Latvia. To be honest, I wouldn't pay that much for Latvia. As much as I think he looked good last season, he's still very inexperienced. So I think for me is that they've put that high price tag on because not a lot of teams are gonna want to pay for Latvia at 50 million. So most likely they are gonna keep him in the next season of the Championship. What's Onana like on penalties? As I've already said that I haven't watched much of Onana. I've probably watched a handful of games. So I'm obviously going to base it based off the couple of games that I've watched. But what I've googled is penalty save rate. If the match was to go to penalties, meaning the Champions League final, Inter would expect Onana to have his say. The former Ajax man has saved 7 out of 33 penalties he has faced in his career and relish the challenge of a penalty shootout. So if we're going to look at here in terms of the statistics, in terms of age, Andre Onana is had a total of non-saved penalties of 26, and he have saved 7 overall. Let's be real when we do say this is he saved 7 penalties, 7 out of 26 as a percentage. So if we're gonna look at that, 7 out of 26 as a percentage, he saved 26% of his penalties. A penalty is a 50-50 thing. He saved 7 more penalties than De Gea has had in his career. So I'm not that fussed about the penalty conversion rate. I wouldn't really rate a player based off the penalty conversion, because if I was to do that, I probably would have picked Diogo Costa instead, because he does have one of the best penalty conversion rates in the world. But there's plenty of more qualities for me than just the penalties. Is Onana a vocal, commanding goalkeeper? From what I have watched, yes. Get well Van der Sar, quality keeper at the peak of his power. Yeah, the thing is with Van der Sar, he was absolutely quality near to the end of his career. He is absolutely spectacular. Maisy, can Onana play out from the back? From what I have watched, again, yes, it looks like he can play out from out the back. He's good with his distribution. I think not in a bad way, but he is quite nerve-wracking with his feet. But he's very skillful on his feet as well. Which I would be literally terrified to watch in a Manchester United shirt. But when you do watch it back, you think, oh, that's actually not so bad at all. Hey there, United Spurs of America. Thank you for coming into the chat. Hope you are well. 50 million for a relegated player, Lavia, is a bit much. Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%, rather. So yeah, Onana's looking like the most likely deal for Manchester United's second signing. I'm not expecting too much from this transfer window, again, because of the current ownership situation. We're still at square one of what is really realistically going on. Hopefully, we might actually have an update when it comes to next week or the week after. And I was kind of expecting it to last this long, but we just need to be patient at this point now. But let's go on to the next one, which is Amrabat to Manchester United. I'm not too sure if you did watch people saying, I don't want Amrabat at Man United because why would we want an ex-Watford player? So I just want to say, first of all, is Amrabat, Sofan Amrabat is not an ex-Manchester United player. He has never come to the Premier League. It was actually his older brother who was a Watford player. Again, I've not watched Amrabat's brother, so I'm not going to comment on Amrabat's brother. But this Amrabat has not been to the Premier League, first of all. So let's talk about Amrabat. Let's see the recent comments, what's been said, because there has been quite a few things. On Wednesday, it had been claimed that Man United have agreed a deal with the representatives to sign Amrabat. Fantastic. To be fair, let's be real, right, when we look at this picture, Amrabat really does suit red. Like, he does like a fantastic player in red. Like, yesterday, it was reported that Fiorentina is prepared to sell Amrabat to Man United for around 30 million euros, which, when you're working that out in pounds, that would be roughly around 25 million pound. Which, when you're going to have a look at a player of Amrabat's quality, who's been in the Europa Conference final, who's been a key player in the Fiorentina side, who finished third place in the World Cup with Morocco, which Morocco were dark horses in the World Cup. I think it's a 25 million pound. You can't complain at it. So let's have a see what more it got. So where is it now? So it's been claimed that Fiorentina are close to signing in on Danish midfielder Martin Hilmond to replace the Moroccan international. So I think they're going to be preparing to the fact that Amrabat is going to be leaving Fiorentina. He is going to want a new challenge. So that's going to be very, very interesting. They're already thinking ahead. So that really says a lot on that. The report says it is important for Serie A side that Manchester United decide to take concrete steps towards the signing of Amrabat. It's appeared a possible move is on the card should Man United is able to sell players in the summer, with Erik ten Hag has already managed Amrabat at Utrecht. So, looking at this, we're not going to be signing Amrabat straight away because we do need to sell a couple of players on. Two of the players I will be discussing, of course, in this show today, but there is other players, of course, who could be sold, such as Harry Maguire for one. Another one who could be sold is Scott McTominay, Donny van der Beek. They're three options that Manchester United can potentially sell in this transfer window. As much as everyone wants to get rid of the deadwood, we need to be careful that we don't get rid of too much deadwood, because at the end of the day, the squad depth is still very important at Manchester United. We are in all competitions. We're in the Champions League, FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Premier League. We want to fight again for that top four. We want to try and go far in all competitions. So we're going to need that squad depth. And as much as I'm not a fan of a lot of this deadwood, as much as everybody else isn't a fan of this deadwood, is that this Deadwood will be the difference where you play the lower tables and go, right, I want to put on a weaker squad here today. We're still gonna need that regardless. So so we are gonna need to sell players before we are going to look at Amrabat from Manchester United. And we have also received the update from yesterday regarding Amrabat is that Florentino are open to selling Amrabat to Man United. If Man United get saved and offer 30 million euros, they will accept. 30 million euros in this day and climate is very, very cheap because you're looking at players who are below par, who are costing a lot more money. Not just English players, it's players abroad, it's players who have done well for the countries, players who've done well for the clubs, the values of the clubs, the contract lengths. That's all depending on the current situation of the player. And if we're going to look at Amrabat at the moment's contract expiry, his contract expiry is in June 2024. So we need to look at this as to say, with him is that he's got 1 year left at Florentino, so he could have quite rightly already rejected the bid. Rejected the contract extension for Florentino, which completely understandable if that is the case. And they'd rather get 30 million euros and get nothing from him, because if we're going to look at how much Amrabat was initially paid for with Florentino, it is saying online that he is currently worth 30 million euros anyway, so it's roughly around right. And looking at it, he had gone to he went to Florentino for, at the time, he went to Florentino at the time for 20 million euros. So they'll be making a 10 million euro profit anyway by selling on Amrabat. So let's have a look at the comments in the chat. Hey there to our number. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. I'm very well. Thank you very much. Amrabat is quality. I would have taken him at Liverpool. He's been quality from Morocco. Yeah, he was definitely a key one there in that Morocco side, as well as a few other players, naming Hakimi and Ziyech. They were also fantastic in that Morocco side. But a lot of people didn't really speak much of Amrabat until after that World Cup, of course. Atletico Madrid are also interested in Amrabat. From what I've been reading, but Man United have the closer edge just due to the fact he's currently worked under Ten Hag in the past, and Ten Hag was the one who brought him into senior football. How old is Amrabat? Amrabat is 26, so he will be hitting his prime at Manchester United, or very well is already in his prime. Casemiro is in his 30s now, anyway. So it is a bit more of a younger model for Casemiro, someone who can give Casemiro that little bit of a break as well. United will be stupid to miss out on Amrabat. Is Amrabat a DM? Amrabat can play as an 8 and a 6. So as a box-to-box midfielder and also a defensive midfielder. So we can play both of them, which you do need that versatility at Man United. He's a DM of mid-20. Second highest passing percentage as well, like last season in the league. Maisy, it seems Erik ten Hag likes Dutch players or players who's played in the Dutch league. Not necessarily, because he is a fan of Mason Mount, and Mason Mount didn't go to the Dutch league. But I think with Erik ten Hag is that he's bringing in players that he trusts. And I think trust does go a long way in the squad. I know he's brought in already some fantastic players, of Martinez and Malacia is getting there. Casemiro is outstanding, and another one who's not played in the Dutch league. But I think he's bringing in players of quality, players who he trusts, who can bring the team into the next level. I think he is bringing. I think he wants to bring players in as well who he's liked playing with under. But I think he wants more players of quality and who he can trust more than anything. And I think all the players that he has brought in, I think that he does have some kind of trust and connection with them. Like I say, United need better than basic players. It's what he knows best. Thoughts on Greenwood going to Atalanta. Would this pave his way for Højlund to come to United? So in terms of Højlund, again, they're still putting the £100 million proposal to Man United. Personally, with that, I would walk away because Højlund isn't worth 100 million. I think he's worth 50 at most, and that's at the very, very most. Greenwood, he's only be going there on a loan deal. He wouldn't be going there on a permanent. So I think what probably Man United is most likely wanting to do is bringing him on loan to a slower paced league to bring him back up, and then if they're wanting to keep him, they'll bring him back. But it's whatever the club really decides, to be honest. And I know people do have a lot of comments on what they think about Mason Greenwood. I'm personally not going to be saying it myself on a stream, but from what I've been hearing, it's just a loan deal. Amrabat did a number against Brazil on a few months ago. Yeah, I remember when I'm sure Morocco knocked out Brazil, and that was like an absolute what no one predicted. I'm well, thanks, Luca. Glad that you're okay. Just uploaded video. Amrabat was was excellent in the World Cup, for definite and club level, very consistent compared to last season. Greenwood still looking to play football after his issues. Sending my condolences to Ellie van der Sar. That's great as well, Luca, to do that, because you and Niall were the only people I've seen so far who's done that in the chat. So thank you for that. Hey there, Static. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Amrabat reminds me of Gundogan. Florentina good. He had a great World Cup for Morocco. Completely agree. Hey there, Daz. Thanks for coming in. I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are well too. Hey there, JR. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Ten Hag has asked for every player we're getting so far. Yep, exactly. So I think it just really shows that he is getting that kind of backing from the board. But Ten Hag did make it clear from what I've been reading that he did want his own signings when he first joined Man United, and I think that was probably that kind of negotiation at the time. But from all the signings that Erik Ten Hag has had so far, it's worked. So we've just got to trust what he wants. It's not about what we could want. Of course, every single person here would want Kylian Mbappe. He did want Vinny Jr., but we at the end of the day is that we just, like we're doing at the moment, get the manager's trusting, get what he wants, because so far it's worked so good. United are slowly building in the right way. Completely agree. 30 mil for a 26-year-old hitting his prime as a steal. That's all they want, 30 mil. Yeah, they only want 30 million euros. So I would actually take that in a heartbeat. And to be honest, we do need to sell players. We can get Fred for 20, get Dean Henderson for 20 to 30. That's Amrabat there and dusty straight away. Hey there, Vincent. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Mays, what's Højlund done to be so expensive? Again, I haven't watched much of Højlund, so you'd have to ask, for instance, Jarvis, who's a big, massive fan of him. But if you're going to have a look at Højlund with his contract expiry, for instance, so I'm just going to have a look at this first of all with Højlund's player profile. So he can only play, for crying out loud, man. So let's get this up for Højlund. Get rid of this. What the hell's that? So Højlund, as it clearly states, is worth 45 million. His contract expires here in 2027. So that's 24, 25. That's 4 more years they've still got for Højlund to play for Atalanta. So you need to take in consideration the 4 years at Atalanta. Because he did sign in 2022, which was last year. So he signed the 5-year deal. So they're not going to want to get rid of him cheaply for that. I think he's their main centre forward. He plays in the attack. He joined in 2022. Tall defender, born in 2003. So he's still got plenty of years to go ahead of him as well. And we've seen here in his Denmark debut, he's had 6 appearances, 6 goals, which is a goal every single game. So I think with him being the main source of attack and knowing the fact that he's got 4 years left on his deal, I think that's probably why Atalanta is rating him in the length he is. But if, for instance, we was to get Ireland and then say you can have Greenwood on loan for the season, hopefully that might persuade him a little bit with an option to buy. What's up with Van der Sar? Van der Sar, he's currently in intensive care, Vincent. 19 and first big season plus inflated market. Big up Vince Edwin, great goalkeeper. Gutting is like that, truly gutted. Any new? I'm gonna go into that one now, so I'll get onto it later on. Maisy, there might be 2 PFL leagues, a Sky one and another. No worries, just let me know. I want a team that fits what Ten Hag wants, not pointless signings. I feel Ten Hag has been extremely sticking to his guns. So I just Onana, will he be able to make the Man United defence in front of him more solid? The thing is we can't just say a goalkeeper's going to make a defence solid, because even though last season De Gea wasn't at his best, he still got the most clean sheets last season. So I'm not going to say a goalkeeper's the one that makes a defence solid, because the defence is 3 or 4 players or 5, whatever the system they're going to be playing in. And Man United have the most clean sheets, one of the most in Europe. So I'd say it's not just the goalkeeper who makes the defence, it's the other players who does that. 2003, I was 18 then. I thought he was from Norway. I didn't know he was Danish, thought he was Norwegian. I'm actually going to Denmark very, very soon. Looking at, so yeah. So Sophie is going to the friendly against Leeds. That's really good, especially because she is from Oslo herself, so she'll really enjoy that for sure. Who needs Heartland of the Vigo of Man City and Ghostbuster 2? When we got Ireland, he'll score a goal. Is to show you how it's done. Exactly. Does Onana shout and be more vocal than De Gea? Won't be surprised. Anyone more vocal than De Gea? So just for you, Niall, we will talk about the next potential signing for Manchester United, which is the other goalkeeper from Japan. So here it is. Zion Suzuki is concrete possibility for Man United. He could be the next goalkeeper signing after Andre Onana. I think for me, a lot of people are getting a bit 50-50 about him, but I think we need to look at this one and to say he's 20 years old, right? That's great straight away. 20. He's an unknown, and I think when you look at unknown, sometimes with unknown, I think it can, how can I say, hidden gems. Like you're looking at like the likes of Brighton, they find hidden gems. Like look at like Casado, for instance, and Ferguson wasn't known really, and Marita, they weren't known. They're finding players all over the world. They've got fantastic scouts, and I think for me, for €5 million, I'd actually take the risk on this guy. We're not going to be losing anything at all on €5 million, and even if it has to be, is give him, like, just let him learn under Onana, let him learn under Tom Heaton. because from what I have seen, he doesn't look that bad. He's still only 20, and I always do say is that goalkeepers always look so much more better in their older years. 20 years old, a goalkeeper. Maisy, put your tongue back in. Goalkeepers can play up to 40 minimum. Look at McGregor at Rangers. He's played up till he's 40 years old. So if we was to buy this kid, he stayed up till he's 40 years old, for instance, which we know that it is going to be very unlikely. But there is players who is a one-player club, or they want to stay at the club permanently. If that is the case, 20 years worth of football for €5 million, I genuinely don't think that is a bad shout whatsoever. And there was actually an article what the Evening News have put on is MEN understands Man United are interested in the American-born Japanese goalkeeper Zion Suzuki, but not yet made an official bid. Man United interest in the new goalkeeper has been well documented, considering the uncertainty around David De Gea. Inter Milan's Andre Onana has been identified as Ten Hag's top signing, should De Gea not re-sign. But MEN, as understand it, extensive talks are ongoing with Cameroon's shot-stopping goalkeeper. What came to more surprise was Man United is interested in Rara Red Diamonds reserve keeper Zion Suzuki. This year, the 20-year-old has made 5 J-League Cup appearances, but has not featured in any other competition for the AFC Champions League winners. Bloody hell, they got Champions League in Japan. With little known about Suzuki, MEN has rounded up a detail around the stopper. Suzuki is born in Little Rock in August 2002, but left America for Japan as a child. In February 2019, he made the jump from Red Diamonds Academy to the first team, but found playing time hard to come by. After making his debut against Valgot Sengai in May 2021, Suzuki made 27 further appearances for the club. This season, he's only featured in J-League Cup. In those 5 appearances, he's kept 2 clean sheets and averaged around 1.8 saves per 90 minutes, conceding only 3 goals. Uraka Red Devils are one of the strongest teams in Japan, so the 20-year-old has been well protected. And I do personally think, again, he will be well protected in Manchester United. We've seen that Garnacho has been well protected as well in the Manchester United team for a lot of this season until he started making his debut. So, properly debuted in. So, I do personally think that he will be another one who that Ten Hag would protect. He has made an impact in the Japan youth setup and featured at the Under-20 World Cup in 2019. He has since made his senior debut, featuring in the East Asian Championships at 21-22. He kept a clean sheet in the 6-0 win over Hong Kong in the opening group match. He is currently a member in the Under-21s national team. Suzuki has been noted for his ability to distribute from the back, which is something Ten Hag is searching for. In his recent Under-22 fixture for Japan against the Netherlands, Suzuki made a string of impressive stops to keep the Dutch at bay. He is no stranger to leave his box and playing the keeper-sweeper role, which is highly sought at modern-day goalkeeping. Manager for Red Diamonds has said the Reds have 4 very interesting goalkeepers. Among them, Shurasku and Zion are at a high level. I think Zion is taller and I think he's a young player with future potential. The current Japanese international manager has also spoke highly of Zion ahead of his appearance at the East Asian Championship. He said he's shown high-level performances in the Asian Champions League, which is why they called him up. He's the second goalkeeper at Red Diamonds in that he is not able to earn his starts there, but again, it wouldn't be strange for him to play for the national team. Red Diamonds have 2 national team caliber players, and from that I should call up Zion Sasuke. And it said Man United has obviously known about him for a while, and it has been said here that Sasuke is also looking at getting to a Belgium team for further experience. So if we was to do if he was going to go to the Belgium league, that wouldn't be something I'd be against with, personally. But let's just have a look here at the most important bit, is his playing style. This paragraph here, what is his playing style, is the most important piece of information that we do ideally need. That he's a sweeper keeper. He leaves his box. He makes some impressive shot stops. So we look like people are saying we want a goalkeeper to do everything. By looking at the article, what MEN has wrote, it does look very promising. It does sound like he is a keeper that can do everything. And at 20 years old, he's already in that Japan squad. Both international and the club manager is very impressed with him, is a massive fan of him. That would be definitely someone who Manchester United could at least look at, especially for €5 million. Because at €5 million, again, you need to look at it and think, what if he stays 20 years at Man United? Because that €5 million for £5 million for 20 years is a steal. Even if he stayed for 5 to 10, and we went and sold him on them for 50, 20, 30 mil, it's still a big mass. It's not, for me, I don't think it's too much of a gamble. That's why I would take the risk. Mays, would you say unknown players have less pressure to do well? I don't think so, because I think regardless, if you're coming to a club, unknown or known, you do have that pressure of the shirt. You still want to do well. And I think maybe, if anything, it might cause a bit more pressure, because no one knows what you like, how you play, and you need to portray yourself as the player who you know your abilities are and how you know you can play. Spot on, Mays. Give them proper time and football education. United need that 60-40 experience of experience in youth. I would probably say a little bit less than that. I would probably maybe say 65-35, maybe. But Man United has had a youth player in the matchday squad since the 1930s. If that's starting or on the bench, we've always got an academy player who's on there. I know people are going to look at like Rashford and McTominay. They're an older player, but they're still an academy player. So we always have used the youth. It is in our DNA, youth players. And I think in terms of the Premier League, we are one of the best in the Premier League at using the academy. But it's just a matter of how the academy players develop. But I do personally think, in my opinion, is Eric Ten Hag is going to use the youth a little bit more next year, especially with the more competitions. And the fact is, he's got that year now. He'll know what the youth is like, who's more ready to come through or not. I think last year was a bit more of an experiment for him. Look at Buffon, Alan McGregor. They play until they're 40, and Craig Gordon, 55 for 45. Maisy, when's your boy Fatiel leaving? That is I don't have a bloody clue, to be honest. No clue whatsoever. If you get the Japan keeper, will he play in the cup early rounds? Most likely, yes. In my opinion, I would play in the whole League Cup. I think that just depends for me. How far we get in the League Cup? Because if we got to the final, would you really trust a 20-year-old to play at Wembley? As much as you look at Ortega, who played the whole rounds of the FA Cup and done superb for Man City, I wouldn't. As much as this sounds horrible, I'd rather have a player who can play in big environments when it does come to the the finals and the semi-finals, because they're going to be games where you're going to feel massively under pressure. Brilliant insight from the Japan goalkeeper. I would sign him even if it's a backup and push Onana if he signs. Hey there, Paul. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Good to see you. I'm going to be discussing Emma Watson very soon, Niall. Sending my condolences to Ella van der Sar. Thank you very much there, Paul. Hey there, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Really appreciate the kind words. So we'll go on to the outgoings now for Man United. The first one is Fred to leave Manchester United. So we'll get the latest update regarding Fred. Is Man United are considering selling Fred this summer. There's an interest from Fulham, but other clubs are also keen on Fred. So I know people compare Fred to McTominay and go, which one would you rather sell? I'm going to open my hands up and say I'd rather Scott to go over Fred. But I think in the kind of way as well, you're going to need to be a bit clever. And I think this is what Manchester United are doing, is you're looking at Fred, for instance. Fred has got 1 year left on his deal. And from what I've been hearing, Erik Ten Hag is not going to extend his contract. So if he's got 1 year left, Scott's got 2 years left, take the risk, sell Fred. Fulham is one who's interested. Fulham, I think, would be a great move for him. His Premier League experience, being next to Palhinha, where he's able to express the way he plays with a natural defensive midfielder next to him every single game. They're going to be strengthening more in that top 10 side, because I think Fred will definitely improve that midfield in the pivot for Fulham. Another one who's interested is the Saudi League. Again, that would be another option for Fred. Fred, I think, is around 30 now. So maybe he might want to go there now he's in his later years. I don't know. But we do need to look at selling him on if we're not going to extend his deal. And as much as I like Fred, as I say, is we're not going to get this money waste we bought for Fred. We definitely overspent on Fred. And at the time, I was literally looking at him and thinking, who the hell is this guy? Like, I never heard of Fred ever before he joined Man United. And I know that sounds bad, but I genuinely never heard of him until he joined us. So I think for me and a lot of other people who are new, he was quite unknown coming into the Premier League. So we massively overspent for a player we didn't know much of. And he's had his good moments, but he's had his bad moments. I do thank Fred for everything he's done, but I do think it is probably time to leave. Fred definitely divides opinions, agreed. Fred, again, is a bit like Marmite, as I'd like to say, is a lot of people like him, a lot of people dislike him. I can understand why people dislike him. I can understand why people like him. But it's kind of one of them. As much as I like Fred, is very inconsistent, because he'll have a good free game and then he'll have a proper shocking game, which is a shame. How much would Man United ask for a bid from the Saudi if it comes in? I think if, for instance, for Fred, for the Saudi, we may look around 20 to 25 mil. I think that's how much Fred will go with the Saudi. I think roughly around 20 for Fulham. Always rate if Fred gets too much hate. I think both McTominay and Fred both run their course, but only one will leave this summer, I reckon. Agreed, Liam. And that's why I think Fred is going to be the most likely one to leave, just because of the fact that he's got 1 year left on his deal. I think it was about abilities, I genuinely think that McTominay would have been out the door before Fred, personally, in my opinion. Off topic on Fulham, Robinson of Fulham has signed a new contract till summer 2028. Great move for Fulham. However, it is a bit surprising because he is a great player with a good abilities. So I thought he might have wanted to step up. It's the right move to sell Fred. United don't want to be sentimental merchants like Liverpool. Hey, Kate Slater, thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Biggest question: who don't we overpay for? Exactly. We can sign younger player with the same skill set on a better contract. Exactly. Again, agreed. There's plenty of players out there, and on top of that, as well, is Amrabat is the one who's going to be probably most likely replacing Fred if he was to sign. And I think Amrabat would be the perfect replacement, and he's 100 times the better player. I'd say McTominay should go first. Can't deny his efforts, but he's not a Man United player. Agreed. If I was having it my way, Scott would definitely be the one first, but I just think based off the contract, it'd sell Fred before Scott, unfortunately. And as well, they're very wary for some reason about selling Scott because of him being an academy player. Alanga as well up for sale, aim for 30 mil. We're not going to get 30 mil for Alanga. I don't know what that's would be. I don't know what they're smoking, but if you want me to be honest, I think Alanga in a kind of way would be easier to sell because he's only on 5k a week in terms of wages. And I think considering he's not on that much, I think that's going to play a part for him leaving, what could help. But I would probably loan Alanga first, just to see on where he could really suit. Because I think Alanga is another one where he is quite overhated. I'm not going to be sentimental here, but he was thrown into the deep end. And when you're playing, throwing in raw players into the deep end, it doesn't work in nobody's favour. Maisy looking sensational in the black graphic t-shirt. Yeah, got it from America actually, from Las Vegas. It's only It's only Las Vegas is the only place in the world that sells this top. It's literally Las Vegas exclusive. So, I like the shirt. Eric Ten Hag needs to build his team, and he will therefore will, as he's slowly getting rid of the old crop. Agreed. So we'll go on to the next one now. Dean Henderson to leave Manchester United. So the recent reports regarding Dean Henderson is Man United are open to signing 2 goalkeepers this summer, as Dean Henderson is expected to be sold. So we've already discussed about the goalkeepers who are looking at buying for Manchester United, as well as that there is a couple more goalkeepers that are linked, one being the Feyenoord goalkeeper, who's recently won the league at Feyenoord, so another great shout again. Let's be real when I do say this, is Dean Henderson, right? After what Dean Henderson was done with that interview, he does need to leave the club. People agree with it, some people disagree, but at the end of the day, you're still a United player. People look at, for instance, Jesse Lingard, he slagged us off, but Jesse Lingard was a Nottingham Forest player, what you need to look at as well. And he divided a lot of opinions with it, but when you're contracted at Manchester United, doesn't matter if you're on loan, you should be respecting the club. And for me, he did not respect the club. I understand his frustrations that he may have been promised number 1 and never got it. But the fact that, as well, he never gave the manager a chance to see what he was like, I think that just really shows the ego that he has. I personally don't want him at Man United. He did do well for Nottingham Forest. I personally say, do want him. And I think the most likely they are going to want to try and buy him pretty quickly. Just knowing at the fact with for next season, they've only got Wayne Hennessy to play as the goalkeeper. And personally, would you want to play Wayne Hennessy as a number 1 goalkeeper? I wouldn't. So I think Nottingham Forest are going to want to buy him. I've read between 20 to 30 million. We are going to get 100% of the sales, knowing it's an academy product. I will push for the 30, just knowing that the fact he is Premier League proven. He's done it at Nottingham Forest. He's done it at Sheffield United. He's played with us in the Premier League as well. So I would do it, and I'd say 30 million for for Dean Henderson. And if you don't want to do 30, say, right, we'll do 25, but we want a sell-on clause. That's how it should be, and that's how it should be for every single academy product. Is try and get the most we can, which the club never does, and get a sell-on clause on top of it, just because we do need. I think it's good to have a sell-on clause at the club. Try and get the amount we need to do at the amount we can get out of each academy player, because we've grown them at the end of the day. Maisy, the one guy I like at United Malacia. You think he has a big future? You've heard me say it as well, Rabbit. I say that he has Patrice Evra vibes. I do think he is raw at the moment. He does need a bit more time, but I think in time to come, I think he is going to look very good. He is more of an attacking fullback. He does need to work on his defensive abilities, in my personal opinion. He needs to learn how to deal with the bigger crowd, the bigger players, because I think at time to time he has struggled against them. But I do personally think he is definitely one for the future. Vegas buy, yep. Did you really rate Dean Henderson? To be honest, in 2020, during the lockdown, when he was the goalkeeper and then De Gea was playing for the Europa League, I actually didn't mind him, because I did want De Gea to be dropped. Because after the terrible performances, one noted that season, the 3-3 draw against Everton, what really angered me, which was not just down on De Gea, it was also down on Maguire, which both of them should have realistically been dropped for, but we knew Maguire did pick up an injury that season. I think it was the right fit. I said Dean should have been playing. He actually didn't do too bad, but I think it's his comments more than anything that's let him down. There's players out there. It all depends where the scouts and the clubs are looking for. Exactly. This chap lost his place at Forest, summed it up towards the end of the season. Exactly. And I think it's basically he got dropped for another low league goalkeeper, which was Keylor Navas. But I do think Keylor Navas is an outstanding goalkeeper, and to be fair, I'd understand him being dropped by him, because he is absolutely fantastic, and I think Navas, he 100% kept him up. Now Lingard is training with Inter Miami, not contracted, looking for a team. To be honest, it'd be interesting where Jesse Lingard is actually gonna go, but I don't think he might not go to Inter Miami. Sorry, I think he might. He was talking about going to the Saudi league, and I think, to be honest, he might end up somewhere like in the Belgium league, or he might end up in the lower league of La Liga, or maybe even the Turkish league, just because I don't really know what team would really realistically go for Jesse Lingard at the moment. Maisy nearly called Dean Henderson Jordan Pickford. Not that I nearly called him Jordan Pickford, I nearly called him Jordan Henderson. That's what I nearly called him. Maisy, how many players can United get? I think at the most 5 this season. Do you think the transfer window should be shut before the season starts? Yes and no. Because one for yes is I think it should, for the reason of like the season started, why we buying players. But for the no, I think, say for example, first or second game of the season. Let's look at it in Liverpool's way. First or second game of the season, Mohamed Salah picks up an injury. It rules him out for the rest of the season. For instance, you're thinking, crap. Like, this is crap. Who's going to replace Mohamed Salah? You're going to probably say Harvey Elliott or whoever. But for another team, for instance, where it might have been a Wolves or a Southampton or whatever, and they've lost out a player for the whole season, that's going to really sting them right up until January. So for that reason, I would say no. So I'm in a bit of a 50-50 mind about that. So we'll finish off with the final player before we do wrap up. The final player was Emma Watson to Man United. So Emma Watson has now left Rangers permanently. So Man United is close to be signing her on a free. So shows here Rangers wonder kid emotional send off as she moves on for the Women's Super League Giants after hardest challenge. Rangers wonder kid Emma Watson admitted deciding leaving the club to join Man United is the toughest thing she has ever done in football. The 17-year-old was named PFA Scotland's Young Player of the Year award last season after starting a role in the thrilling SWPL title where Rangers lost out on the final day. So there's a picture of Emma Watson. She is already at the age of 17 getting into the first place of Scotland. She's already in that first team. So I think that really just shows the character of her. It's the same prize won by Celtic Ace in 21-22. That year, Watson was nominated for Youth Player of the Year at the Scottish Women's Football Awards after making her first team debut at the age of just 15. I think, again, this is the thing, right? I'm just going to say women's football is it's very, I think you've got to have a good characteristic. You have got to be an outstanding starter to go from the under 21s to the first team. There's no under 23s, so there's no gap. So you're looking in the under 21s, there's going to be 18, 19, 20. There could be even 17-year-olds in there. And I think for sometimes is very, very hard for that jump for a player to jump from the under 21s to the first team, because some of these players are still teenagers. We need to look at they're still only teenagers, and I think for a player to make their first team debut at Rangers at the age of 15 is absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, because Rangers are still a fantastic team in the SWPL, and they've got some fantastic players who can play there. Watson was a regular for England at Youth International and earned her first 2 caps this year, scoring a brace at her second appearance, a dark blue against Costa Rica. He's being tipped to become a superstar, following in the footsteps of names such as Caroline Ware, Erin Cuthbert, Julie Fleeting. Moving to the Women's Super League wasn't an easy call for Watson. However, she's revealed how much the decision tugged her heartstrings. She wrote on Twitter, "Many people have asked me over the few months, what's the hardest challenge you faced in football? I didn't really have an answer until now. Decided to leave this unbelievable football club without doubt is the hardest challenge I've ever faced. I've been fortunate enough to call Rangers Football Club my home for the last 6 years. Throughout my time here, I have privileged of working with excellent coaches, played alongside the most amazing people. I would like to give my special thank you to Ross Stormer, who has been a major part of my journey since I joined the club at 11. Making my first team debut was a dream come true and a proud moment for me and my family. I owe Malka Thompson, Rangers women head coach, a debut gratitude for believing in me and giving me some amazing opportunities to develop for both club and country. I have made so many friends for life and amazing memories I will treasure forever. I would like to say a massive thank you to the senior players. Their guidance, knowledge, and experts have been invaluable, and it has helped me become a better player and, most importantly, a better person. Last and certainly not least, to the fans, thank you will never be truly enough. The support and encouragement you have given me from the start has been incredible, and for that I am forever grateful. As a fellow supporter, I am looking forward to coming back and cheering the girls whenever I can. Once again, always again, thank you for everything. She signed a message off with her name and squad number Emma28 and the popular motivational quote, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it's happened." Yeah, so that's the current update regarding Emma Watson. And at the moment, it is looking closer than ever for Emma Watson to play in the team. If we for Manchester United, if we're going to look at Emma Watson statistically, if I can get that up. Emma Watson. Has it done that? Right. So with Emma Watson, she is a box-to-box midfielder. So what we can see here, Emma Watson has been at the club, started in the first team in 2021, had 39 appearances, 2 goals, and in the for Scotland, she's had 2 appearances, 2 goals. And if we're going to look at this, she's already had her debut in the Champions League at the age of 17 years old. This is 17 years old, a box-to-box midfielder who's had her debut in the Champions League. And I think that is an absolute remarkable experience to have at the age of 17. It's a lot of people's dream to play in the Champions League and to be 15 years old, going into the first team of somewhere where you've grew up, then going into the Champions League for your club, scoring a brace for your country in your second appearance. I think it's truly remarkable, and I think it really just shows the personality of her. Harvey can't replace salaries. Not. I said, to be fair though, I did say you probably won't say that. I did actually say that, Ravi, but I don't think he is strong enough. But you do understand my point that if it is a weaker team, they've only got one player in that position. They're going to need a loanee if they're out for the season. If they pick up an injury first game of the season, Emma Watford, can she create of her own? She's more of a box-to-box midfielder for me. So she's one who likes to get possession of the ball and bring it forward. That's the type of player she is. So she isn't much of a creator, but she is more of a player in terms of she just wants the possession of the ball kind of type player. Would you say Emma is a Matt Skinner type of player? Ravi, what is a Matt Skinner type of player? I don't know myself what a Matt Skinner type player is. A Matt Skinner type player is like a bloody... I don't know what his type player is. I genuinely don't. I don't even understand Matt Skinner. She's a consistent performer. Watson consistently in team challenging for trophies, but shutting the window before the season start, wouldn't that make the team get their act together and sign players earlier? Yeah, but if a player got injured first game of the season and the window shut, and say for instance you're like I say for example you're Wolves and you've lost out on, let's have a see. Say for instance you're Wolves, you've lost out on Marita, and then you already lost Ruben Neves. That's 2 straight away. Who's going to play in that midfield 3? Then they'd have to get a loan deal. Is Emma skillful? I wouldn't necessarily say she's skillful. She's just an ordinary player who just likes to bring the ball forward. A great passing accuracy, great possession of the ball as well. She's still only very young. I'm not looking at a player and think care for the skills. For me, I just want to see if she gets it for the team. Can she improve the team? I'd say yes. Teams should be getting more from the current players too. Motivation, try harder. What is there? Plus signings. Who does Emma bench? Emma's not going to bench anybody, especially not in season 1. She may potentially go on loan. Maybe she might have a couple of games in the academy, but she's definitely not going to be benched. She's not going to be definitely benching anybody coming into season 1. She's not going to be benching Hayley Ladd. She's not going to be benching Katie Zellum, and she's not going to be benching Ella Toon. So she's not going to be benching anybody, especially not this season. Big up Maisy, I understand. Who's the GOAT? 100% Maisy. Thank you. Big up Maze. Big up to you, Rather. I'm just throwing it out there with my transfer comment. That's understandable. It's a great comment though as well, because there's been quite a few debates recently as what realistically people would do, and a lot of people are very different of what they would realistically do. So yeah, I understand that. It's a very good question to ask anyway. Yeah. So with that, we will wrap it up. Thank you everyone who's watched. Plenty of transfer news. What's happened? Hit that like, share, subscribe if you're new. I will be live now again next week. Got the player profile. If there's any players announced, I'll do a show. But the player profile, the weekly transfer show, they're both definitely going ahead, and then it's just depending what Manchester United do this next week. So yeah, thank you all very much. Have a lovely night all. Take care. Bye bye.